want to know the secret formula for getting in.
Princeton Admissions Officer Portia is up for a promotion.
Yes?
It's John Pressman from the new Quest School. I'd like for you to visit our campus.
When John invites her to visit his alternative school, she meets Jeremiah, desperate to get into Princeton.
You know, I'm not really your typical student. My brain sort of goes on a little walkabout.
He's a prodigy.
Discovering he may be her son, she decides to bend the rules in admission.
Hi, I'm Brenna.
I'm Rachel.
I'm Kevin.
And we're here to talk about Admission, the new film from Paul Weitz, starring Paul Rudd and Tina Fey. We've all just seen it. How about you start us off?
Tina Fey plays an admissions officer at Princeton, and she ends up learning a lot about life and love, and there's so many things going on, I don't even know what to tell you.
If you can't get a good synopsis because there's so much going on, it tends to be a problematic film.
And there's a lot of like motherhood, there's, you know, moral responsibility, ethics,
There's maternal problems with her and her possible child, and then with her and her mother, and then there's paternal issues with Paul Rudd and his son.
Right.
And then there's issues about her job and her life, and she gets dumped, and there's all this other stuff going on.
And a love story.
It's lovely.
And a love story.
I love the writing. It almost has sort of a Tina Fey feel to it. I think that might be some of her ad-libs, though.
We should mention that it's written by Karen Croner, who adapted it from a book of the same name, Admission.
I love a movie that has more rather than less plot. I don't feel that it's confusing because your focus is Tina, and you're watching her the whole way through as she struggles with all these different things that befall her. But I never really felt like there was, you know, any muddiness or confusion.
I don't think the plot was convoluted. I think that there was just 5 plots. When you have that many different stories going on at the same time, it's hard to have a central theme or a central idea, and because of that, there is none for this film. Is it about being ethical in your job? Is it about being a good mother? Is it about being a good daughter? Is it about love? There's so much going on that there's no underlying theme.
I think it's about self-exploration. That's what I'm sticking with, because when she's faced with the possibility of being a maternal figure, she reacts to that a lot differently than you would expect. All of these different things, I feel like it's just her exploring herself and realizing that she isn't going to react the way that she thought she would.
What is that?
It's diet soda.
Diet soda? Why diet?
I just like the taste better.
So do I. That's unbelievable.
Yeah, I guess.
Just diet soda. No.
Yeah.
As soon as she finds out that she's possibly the mother of this person, sudden, instant switch. And they'd spent a lot of time in the first part of the movie building up the fact that she hates kids and she's not good with kids.
Right.
And then all of a sudden she's trying to pick out a Thomas the Tank Engine toothbrush for her possible child.
If you are a woman and you think that you've lost a child, and all of a sudden you have found this child, and it's years later, that change can happen overnight.
But she just gets handed something and says, this is the truth, and she's like, oh, okay.
She gets handed a ratty copy of a birth certificate that says John Doe on it. It could be anybody.
There's reasons why it is very believable that that person would be her child, and I think she wants to believe.
But she never questions it, ever.
No,
she
she
just
doesn't,
goes,
but
oh,
I think she wants to believe it. You know, if you feel like you messed up and all of a sudden here's a second chance handed to you, are you really going to question it and be like, well, you know, the dates, I'm not sure. You might, or you might just go, thank God that this is happening, and run with it.
So we disagree about that, but I think we can agree that the writing is pretty sharp and clever.
I really did enjoy the admissions process
Yes.
of the movie. I wanted to see more of that. I thought it was actually fascinating.
Well, it's very timely, too. I mean, there's all of these shows about people trying to get their kids into preschools, fancy preschools, middle schools, and it's become so competitive now that this is a fascinating view into something that's very contemporary and very current.
Tina Fey and Paul Rudd are the 2 leads. I love Tina Fey. And here, while I think she does do a good job, it almost seems like she's miscast in a way. Even though I liked her, it just was too up and down for me.
She's capable of doing these kind of comedies, these kind of toned-down comedies. But the problem is as soon as she goes into kooky Tina Fey territory, it completely throws off this film.
Exactly.
Because there's a scene where when she's suddenly being maternal, she walks up to a woman in a store and tries to take her baby from her. Oh, let me help. I'm helping. Let me help. And it's like, no, you look like a crazy lady.
It was very Liz Lemon.
Yeah, I will give you that. There's several occasions where she could be toned down a little bit, but on the other hand, I do appreciate a female character who adds a little bit more quirkiness rather than less.
And speaking of toned down, we have Paul Rudd, who is extremely toned down in this, and he does a great job at it. When you think of Paul Rudd, you don't think of this type of movie, but he nails it. He's great in this.
I'm sorry, so you're just this single dad traveling the world with his kid, doing good?
But I have that on a t-shirt, actually. Single dad traveling the world with his kid, doing good. You could borrow it someday if you'd like.
It's kind of a testament to him where he can go between those, you know, this is 40, where it's a little over the top, and then do things like Object of My Affection, which is, you know, kind of a normal, toned down, quiet comedy.
Along with Paul Rudd and Tina Fey, we have Lily Tomlin playing Tina Fey's mother. And she doesn't get much screen time because there's so many different stories going on here that each one is shortchanged. Lily Tomlin's is one of those. We didn't really get enough with her. I feel she was my favorite part. I wanted to see more of her.
And the closure to their story is kind of a big deal, but I felt nothing because they didn't do enough with it.
It came out of left field. And finally, we have Nat Wolff playing Jeremiah Balakian, who is this gifted, almost autistic, socially awkward autodidact. Which means he reads a lot of books. He likes to teach himself. And she's the one, she jumps through all the hoops as he tries to apply and get into Princeton. And his performance is actually really strong.
Yeah, he was really interesting. I wish they'd done more with him, actually.
Let's go on to the directing.
You know, I thought the directing was charming and pleasant, but Paul Weitz couldn't really find the tone of this movie. Went from broad comedy to kind of an indie rom-com.
This was so unpredictable, so lovely, and so unexpected that I just really enjoyed it.
It's not worth the price of admission. Put it on your wait list. Stream it.
With a great ensemble, sharp and witty writing, and a less than predictable plot, I give it a strong see it.
Despite its tonal problems, it's still a fairly enjoyable film, so I say stream it.
So our votes add up to 2 full tickets, which is a stream it for admission.
Cheers to getting in.
Cheers.
To Tina Fey. Admission for
That's what
this
she
film. Oh, wow.